All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, February 25th. We got a 6-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video, like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within each game as well. But as always, guys, make sure to keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That's where you'll find all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, if you want to jump on board and ride with me, or if you do want to fade me, all of that is absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of yesterday, absolutely brutal. I'm like embarrassed to be here right now. Really tough day. I mean, the only silver lining, if I'm trying to make myself feel better, is I didn't even mean to take that off the screen. Good, get out of here. Is the fact that they weren't all full unit plays, so it does look a little bit more rough than it was, but I mean, this is rough. This is the type of night that ruins your night, ruins the next day. So I am definitely trying to get in the lab today to not feel like this again. We don't have to go through every single play. You can see there's a million X's on there. We had more X's yesterday than Taylor Swift. Absolutely brutal. Our sole winner was a juiced through the moon quarter unit play, Sixers and Hornets moneyline parlay. Absolutely brutal. We're here to own it. I'm just telling you guys and being transparent and being vulnerable. I feel like absolute crap after that. On the bright side, the ride of the day does come through, picks up the vibes a little bit. I mean, we're down here right now. Maybe it brings it up here, right? 3-leg parlay from Jaden had Donovan Mitchell 20+ points. Hornets money line, those ones came through. Mitchell was a little sweaty. The real sweat though was Onyeka Okongwu there, 10+ points. We had him in one of those X's, right? 14+ points. That was an absolute sweat. He does finish at 10, so this ride of the day does cash. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day down in the comments. I jump on board with at least one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you do win, we continue to roll and ride with your plays, and you go on a little bit of a streak, just like Jaden has here. 2 days in a row. Looking forward to seeing what you roll with today. Let's go ahead and dive into game number 1, guys. Hit that like button. I'm telling you, we need some likes on today's video. It's going to bring you luck. It's going to bring me luck. And after yesterday, I clearly need that luck, so if you have it within your heart, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. If you're on mobile, make sure to go ahead and hype the video. It's right near the comment section. You just swipe over and you click hype. It definitely helps out a ton as it's a new YouTube feature. But let's dive into this game because I do already have a play and a final play on this game. I don't know if the number's still there, but the thought process still is there. Let's talk about it. We got the Pistons taking on the Thunder here. Pistons 7.5 point favorites. Total sitting at 220.5. Where I want to start is, I guess, obviously, we could start with the lineups here because you still don't have Shea, you still don't have AJ Mitchell, and you still don't have Jalen Williams, the good Jalen Williams, on the Thunder side of things. No Isaiah Stewart here for Detroit. Now, the Thunder are on a back-to-back, and that's kind of what I want to focus on here. We come over to the Thunder, and we look at them just simply on back-to-backs this season. Not all that great, right? Actually, average win-loss margin. And some of these games have Shea in there, by the way. Average win-loss margin of -3.9. You put them on the road on back-to-backs. 0-4 on back-to-backs. If we want to say, okay, well, what about, back-to-backs here without Shea? Back-to-backs without Shea, also going to look pretty damn bad. They got 2 of them so far. Average win-loss margin, 13.5 in the red. 2 losses there, right? We take a peek. Let's remove Shea, and we look at them without J-Dub. Okay, 50-50. I mean, they're 2-3, not 50-50, so not all that great. But, again, they are on the road here. Back-to-backs on the road without J-Dub, not exactly looking all that great. Now, the one thing, I guess, that we can say positively about this Thunder squad is the fact that you look at the last 3 games here, right? They're actually shooting the ball really well, and we've seen that. They've shot the ball pretty damn well since the injuries have come, and they've honestly kind of pulled out some wins because of it. That Cleveland game especially, right? Detroit, as good of a defense as they are, look when we toggle season to last 3. You could see 3-point is kind of a weak spot for Detroit, and I honestly believe the Spurs, like if you watched that game and Detroit got, kicked, they got their you-know-what kicked, the Spurs were able to shoot on them. So if we say this Thunder team, okay, you know, they're not going to have Shea. We know that. So this Thunder team without Shea against bottom of the pack 3-point defenses, it doesn't look that terrible. So if the Pistons are going to play bad 3-point defense, maybe that's your one angle to the Thunder, but I just can't get past the back-to-back stuff, right? Throw in the fact that this is a Pistons squad that is coming off of a bad loss to San Antonio. They did get outplayed, right? You know, really, it was a hype game, and they just got straight up outplayed. But they haven't lost 2 games in a row more than a couple times this season, and they've yet to do it at home. So they lost at home against the Spurs. Now they have a game against the Thunder. The Thunder are on a back-to-back, and this is kind of a gauntlet for the Pistons, by the way. They had the Spurs, the Thunder, and then they play the Cavs in the next game. The Thunder on a back-to-back, injured right now. This is the game for the Pistons to capitalize on. So I really like the Pistons here. I said I got a number that is gone. I got -3.5. We did pay a little juice at -145 last night on MGM, but I think you could still get that number, but you're paying like 20 cents more. The 7.5, I still don't mind. Like, this is a Pistons team I do think is in a bounce back situation against a Thunder squad that, you know, they played Chet last night. They played Hardenstein last night. Like, we could see the Pistons really do some damage here. So I'm going to lean in that direction. But yeah, you know, we already got a good number, which it was almost like a frustration play. As our plays from last night, reminder, guys, our plays last night, I don't know why I have to show you again, but we're doing it. Didn't go all that well, right? So I was like, all right, we got to get a head start on the game. Looked at this game first, and I was like, I like this spot. Boom, took it. In terms of the total, a little back and forth on this one, simply because I do think the Pistons could score here. I think that they could have a good scoring night. This is a Thunder team that has been playing with a less efficient defense, when teams are running in transition against them over the last few games. So not necessarily faster pace, but when teams up the tempo, they're a little bit less efficient in terms of stopping it in transition. So I think the Pistons could score 220.5. I think it's an efficient line. I'm going to lean slightly to the over, but I definitely like Detroit more than I do the total in this one. A player prop I'm considering here is going to be Ausar Thompson over 5.5 rebounds. I just look at this from a matchup perspective, right? When you think about boxing out and everything like that, I do think that they're going to make sure Cade stays off the glass, whether that is Dort checking him or something like that. You obviously have an undersized Tobias Harris compared to Chet. Hardenstein and Hardenstein and Duren are going to battle it out. So that leaves Ausar Thompson to some degree, right? And I will say this is just him against bottom 10 rebounding teams. He's hit this in 8 of his 10, averaging 10.3 rebound chances on the season when he gets, at least 10 rebound chances, which has been what he's averaging almost on the season, 9.7. When he gets at least 10 rebound chances, the hit rate's there, right? 82% a game. So we're looking for the rebound chances here in this one. I want to see the minutes as well. He played 18 minutes against the Spurs. Not exactly what we want to see there, right? And only 7 rebound chances. So I do like this. It's been a while since he's been hitting it, but I do think just matchup-wise, if you even look at the starting lineup, right? I think these two cancel each other out. I honestly believe Dort is going to try to find Cade, and he might even be matched up with him to some degree, right? So Cason Wallace and Isaiah Joe are going to get Duncan Robinson and Ausar Thompson. That may leave Thompson free to grab some boards. But what I will say, and this goes for all the games that we're going to talk about today, guys, we're going to be, after yesterday's day, and yes, you're going to hear me, talk about yesterday's day, because like I said, it's a bad taste in my mouth, okay? I can't just forget about a day that bad. I want to say let's move on and stuff like that, but it's in there. We're going to continue in the lab here today, and we might add some plays. So definitely important. It's always important too, but important today to keep an eye on the final plays, because we might add some. All right, guys, I wanted to take a quick break from the video to talk to you about today's sponsor, Kalshi. If you have not checked out Kalshi yet, I highly encourage you to do so. I'll have a link down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is Kalshi and why is it different? Kalshi is the largest prediction market in the United States with over 1 million users. And you can trade on world events, sporting events, you name it, you can trade on it over on Kalshi. Right now, if you use that link down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment, you can get in on the action. Whether you're trading on who's going to win the NBA Finals, finals, or you're trading on the defensive player of the year in the NBA. You can even trade on a nightly basis with who's going to win a game, spread of a game, and total as well. I've even found myself trading on some more unique things like whether or not the broadcast will say West Coast during the game. It literally makes you want to watch each dribble and you're on pins and needles listening for each word. Join the masses, guys. Head over to Kalshi right now. Again, that link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. You can get $10 when you trade 100 with that link. Now let's go ahead and jump back into today's video. Next up, we have Toronto taking on the Spurs, and actually, out of curiosity, I didn't look at this yet. Toronto on back-to-backs here. Not exactly the best on the season. Minus 6.2 average win-loss margin, 4-6 straight up. 4-6 to this number as well. They're getting 7.5 points. Now, 3 of their last 4, I guess that's worth noting. What about at home? Okay, it gets a little bit better at home. Still an average win-loss margin of -2. The thing that sticks out to me in this one is, and it's really rudimentary and simple. This is a Spurs team that is just rolling, like truly rolling, right? 11-point win against Detroit. Okay, they blew out Sacramento. You're supposed to do that. Blew out Phoenix. You're supposed to do that. OKC, beat by 10 points. Like, this is a team that is just rolling. They're beating good teams. They're really beating bad teams. But Toronto's kind of one of those teams that I would say is in the middle of that. Like, they're not a good team. They're not a terrible team either. I will say, San Antonio should have some success here at the foul line. 10th in terms of scoring against the 20th defense. So if we just throw that filter on, that looks pretty good as well. That's our last 10 against bottom foul shooting teams. And rebounding, I think, is going to be very, very big. Now, Jakob Poeltl should be back, okay? Or should be in this one. He didn't play yesterday, but maybe might have been saving for this back-to-back. But just for the sake of argument, the Spurs also crush when they have the rebounding advantage, right? So I think that this is a decent enough spot for the Spurs. Free throws, rebounding, even pick and roll man. Like, maybe this is a good spot for Wemby to kind of turn up as a roll man or something like that. It's going to be really hard to find a negative for the Spurs right now. And though you may be able to sit there and be like, oh, well, I found this little soft spot. I say it all the time, right? This is like the freight train rule. Even if you like the Raptors today, your win, in a sense, may be staying away from this one then, because the Spurs could easily come in here with a day's rest and just smoke any team right now. They're playing quite literally like the best team in the league. So I'm going to lean Spurs. I love the idea of maybe even a Spurs-Pistons moneyline parlay. That almost sounds like too good to be true, so maybe I'm jinxing it, and you guys know that I might be a jinx sometimes, but I like the Spurs in this spot. In terms of the total, now this is a Raptors squad that, over the last few games hasn't really played all that fast. Actually, on the season hasn't really played that fast, but the Spurs actually have. The thing is, the Spurs are definitely playing with some pace, but their defense has been electric. In this Raptors squad, I don't necessarily sit here and see how they're going to score, right? If we come in here and just check out the play types, you can see they're 4th in transition. Well, Spurs, literally the best defense in the league in terms of transition. Oh, number 7 in the pick and roll man. Well, Spurs, number 1 defensively to that. So I just can't see where there's going to be a lot of scoring here from the Raptors. If we say, hey, let's do this. We'll look at this season, them against, top 10 transition teams, as well as pick and roll man teams. Yeah, they're really not having these high scoring games, just 225 there. So I'm going to lean towards the under, but I guess if you wanted a little bit more of maybe a cushiony side, it would be like a Raptors team total under, because I do think the Spurs team can do whatever they want right now. And if they hit threes like they hit against that Pistons squad, then it's wraps here. I mean, they can go out there and score 15, 16, 17, 18, whatever it is, and have themselves a day. So I still do lean under, but I kind of like the Raptors side a little bit more in terms of a team total under. We'll be quick with this player prop because I'm not sure if I really do like it, but you can look at Dylan Harper PRA or points. Anything of the likes I do like, because this is a guy that, say they do win by 8 points, right? This is a guy that obviously kind of turns it on and gets more minutes when they blow teams out compared to, say, that they're losing games, right? You could see he doesn't necessarily hit. Like, this is -1 maximum, meaning they're at least losing by 1, and this over here would be the spread that we have here, them winning by at least 8. You can see the minutes go up. He definitely has a better hit rate, averaging, double digits. So I don't necessarily mind the look for Dylan Harper. We took his under last game. It was a competitive game to some degree, and it cashed. Now this may not be as competitive. We're looking at the over. Another I'm considering, I don't know if I can fully get there at 6.5, but Stephon Castle in his assists. We already talked about how this is a team that struggles in the pick and roll man category, right? So if we just look at games in which he faced a bad pick and roll man defense, You could see here he's averaging 6.8. He's hit this over in 70% of games. Definitely has had some higher assist games, but I don't know if it puts me over the edge. It's definitely just a lean at this point. And I also want to check out Wemby. I actually haven't looked at him in this realm yet in terms of the pick and roll man. So Wemby for his points, 23.5 against bad pick and roll man. That may be the move, guys. You see that? This is him last 10. He's been up and down, right? When he goes up against a bad pick and roll team defensively, dude absolutely torches, which is interesting because you can see it's not like it's his main score type, but schematically, it does look pretty damn good. What about free throws? Yeah, I kind of like Wemby in this spot. 23.5 seems a little high. Looks like you can get 22.5 right now over on FD. Maybe this is a good spot, or it's even an SGP type spot where you look at Wemby 18 plus, 20 plus, and the Spurs win. And by the way, guys, this tool is called Buckets to Bucks. I'll put a link down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. It is our very own NBA research tool. We have a ton of filters, and I mean a ton of filters, but it's not just a player prop tool. It's a money line tool, a game total tool. We have a team total tool, player props. We also have the correlation finder, which is really cool. Say we do like, Wemby in points, right? So we come in here and we say, okay, Victor Wembanyama, we like his over 23.5 points. You press find. It's going to go through his teammates' game logs and see what other correlated plays match that. For example, assists would be one to think of, right? Would you look at that? De'Aaron Fox averages 7 assists per game when Wemby hits his over 23.5. That 7 is a point and an assist and a half more than his line today. So a lot of interesting stuff like that. Another weird one here, actually, Wembanyama, right? When he does hit his over, it looks like Julian Champagne, he averages 10.8. His line's 8.5 today, so he averages 2.3 more than his line. So a lot of cool stuff over on the tool. Make sure to check it out, guys. bucketstobucks.com. That link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. I just showed you a fraction of what we have. We have a ton of other cool tools, and you can carve out games and situations. It's really, really awesome. I know I built it, so I'm a little biased, but go try it, guys. This thing is unmatched right now. Check it out, bucketstobucks.com. And if you have jumped on board and jumped on the Buckets train, guys, let me know down in the comments, how are you liking the tool? When we go live and do the live streams, everyone raves about this thing. But let me see some comments down below if you guys have been enjoying bucketstobucks.com. Let me know. All right, Memphis taking on Golden State. I would say I have a little bit more curiosity in this game than I do anything in terms of solidified confidence. So nothing too deep, but let's see if we can pick up anything here as we record. So Golden State, not exactly playing the best brand of basketball. They had that good win against Denver. You can see that right here, but ultimately with no Steph, it's going to continue to be a problem. And yes, Steph is ruled out of this one. Obviously no Jimmy Butler. Looks like they're not going to have Kristaps either. But on the other side of things, no Coward, obviously no Edey or Morant. Santi Aldama, he's out. This is a Memphis team that realistically is filling up the injury report as well. You can see here Golden State may have a 3-point advantage, but you got to remember a lot of these season-long stats are including Steph. But over here you can see rebounding and spot up. Those are two spots that may be interesting. Let's see if we have anything for this Grizzlies squad in the rebounding and spot up category, and then we'll get out of here. So they're getting +3. If they're going to win the rebounding war or go up against a bad rebounding defense, I mean, yeah, they're actually winning games on average over the last 10, 7-3 to this line. Okay. What was the other one? Spot up right here. Spot up, another key advantage. That still looks okay in terms of a cover rate. Let's put them at home. I know this is also an injury. All right. I'm just going to lean towards the Grizzlies in this one. Like I said, that was a little bit more like you guys saw the research. It took 2 seconds. We didn't dig too deep into this game, but I'm going to lean towards Memphis plus the 3.5 points simply because I still don't trust this Golden State team without Steph. Like, this offense has just looked really, really rough. You know what I mean? And even the effective field goal percentage, like they had that one good game against Denver, but then they followed up against the Pelicans yesterday, and it was what, 46.9? Like, yikes. So I'm going to lean towards Memphis in this spot. The total, I don't mind the under. I mean, Memphis, obviously a team that, can definitely run, and they have been running, and they've been crushing the over in terms of their team total over, and maybe to this line. So maybe we look at a Memphis team total over in this spot for them. I don't want to get too much behind Memphis in this spot, but I really do think that at least they're young, hungry, and maybe they shouldn't be, but they're trying to compete to some degree, right? Like that game against Sacramento, they lost by a bunch, but it was competitive at times. Same thing with Miami. Like, they're still losing these games, but putting up 120, 114, that type of thing. No real player props in this one as of right now. This is very, very volatile, but as always, I'll say it again, keep an eye on the final plays to see if we do add anything. I would think it's unlikely, but Have to say it, right? All right, we got the Rockets taking on the Kings. Now, the Rockets are an interesting one here because they did just beat the Jazz by 20. But realistically, prior to that, this is a team that did struggle to even beat some of the worst of teams. Like, they've only covered this line in 15 games. Honestly, at the beginning of the year, they were doing a lot more of it, right? Last 20, they've only done it in, 2 games? Now, they are at home. I think that that's going to give them a little bit of a boost, but it's still a really big number for a Rockets team that is, in theory, been struggling. Now, they have a game tomorrow against Orlando. You could see that here. I'm not sure if that's going to affect things too much. Amen Thompson listed out in this one, FYI. I wonder if he'll play the next one, but realistically, I don't think that's going to matter all that much. What I could see happening here is someone like Tyree Eason, maybe even a Reed Shepherd. Maybe they get a little extra burn because you got to think that Houston's going to lead this one or win this one handily, right? That means Şengün may not play a full workload of minutes. Kevin Durant almost shouldn't play a full workload of minutes, right? So I'm going to say that this is obviously a spot in which I like the Rockets. They're a better team. I don't love the 14.5 points, but they did just prove that they can do it to a bad team against the Jazz, and the Kings are in a similar situation where they're probably like, oops, we lost. You know what I mean? Like, these are teams that losses do not hurt them in the long run. So I'm going to lean Rockets. Don't love it because of the high number and because of their struggles this year to cover the line, but kind of makes sense. But I do think it's going to be somewhat, more related to some role-ish players. Now, Jabari Smith Jr. may be an interesting look here. He has been going off. And I will say, in games like this where, I do believe there's a chance where we see, Durant play a little bit less or Şengün play a little bit less. Smith may get a couple extra minutes without them. He's probably the next guy off the block. I mean, if Thompson wasn't injured, of getting less and less minutes, but maybe we take a peek at him from a points and rebounds perspective. But like I said, I think that Tyree Eason, Reed Shepherd, it should be kind of like a playground for them here because they're going to have a little bit more leeway than they normally would, I would think, if this actually does turn into a blowout. That being said, the Kings did, I will give them a little bit of credit. We didn't even mention anything on the Kings side. They were severely, huge underdogs against the Spurs. They actually kept that game close. They ended up still getting smoked. But again, maybe that was like a, oops, too late in the game. Now you guys took off. But that was more competitive for, that was way more competitive than the box score would indicate. So maybe there's something there. In terms of a total, I don't mind the idea of an under here. Like I said, if this is a blowout, what is the Rockets' incentive to continue to score and score and score and score, right? And if we look at games from the Rockets here, look at this season. Actually, let's look at more recently. We can look at last 10 and last 5 because they're both kind of going to tell the same story. This is games in which they won by a minimum of 15 points. They've only gone over in 3 of 10, and they are scoring 55%. So when they win a lot, when they win by a lot, obviously they're scoring a ton. This is them doing most of the heavy lifting and workload. So I don't mind the idea of an under in this one either. All right, Milwaukee taking on Cleveland, and I'm not going to lie. I thought my eyes kind of deceived me. Check it out. Giannis, questionable. He was out yesterday, obviously, against Miami. Didn't play. Questionable here. I really don't think that he plays, and even if he does, maybe it's not a full workload because there's a couple things here, right? If Giannis comes back, that's definitely going to hurt them in terms of them winning games and getting a good pick. And he's clearly injured, so it's like maybe they do ease him into it even if he comes back. The thing is, this is a Cavs team, James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, not exactly like the youngest squad, and I do believe as good as they are, and they just beat the Knicks by 15. Like, this team is good, man, and we know that by now, right? Especially with James Harden. The back-to-back still does concern me to some degree because, you have guys like James Harden that isn't historically always playing back-to-backs, and he is a little bit older, and this is now kind of a veteran-led team. I'm not saying the Cavs go out here and lose outright to the Bucks, but I just think that this Bucks team is just kind of consistently getting looked down on. Like, they've been playing some basketball, guys. 7-3 in their last 10. To this line, they're 7-3 as well because they've been underdogs in a ton of games, and they're winning. I mean, they just beat Miami as, 6.5-point dogs. They beat them by 11 outright. So I do think that this is a spot in which we could consider Milwaukee. That's as far as I'd probably go. Their last couple games here on back-to-backs, they actually have won outright as dogs as well. And you can see this. Detroit was the only one they lost. That was earlier, in the year, early December. And it's like, dude, this is Milwaukee, and this is without Giannis. This was way before this current injury, this current injury in a sense. So maybe it's psycho alert alarm worthy, but 8.5 points seems like it's a little too much here. to be laying for the Cavs on the road on a back-to-back after a big win yesterday. So this is going to be the direction I lean in terms of the Bucks. When we get to a total here, now this Cleveland squad, their defense has looked very good. In their last 10 games here, they're averaging their opponent 48.1% in terms of effective field goal percentage. Charlotte, a good offense, 50%. They did play some cupcake teams like Brooklyn, 42%, Washington, 47%. I get it. The Bucks, on the other hand, when we look at them, they've been averaging 56.9%, so 57%. It's going to come down to if Cleveland steps up defensively, because if they don't, then I think this could be a high-scoring game because well, first and foremost, I don't think that they will as normal. The defense has been legit, but again, back-to-back, I just have a feeling, and it's just a feeling, so take it with a grain of salt. We saw how our feelings looked yesterday. But this is the Cleveland squad. They might not be as locked in just due to the fact that they have the Bucks here. So they went Knicks, Bucks. Their next game is against Detroit. Now, it's not the next game. It's not tomorrow, but it's the next game. It's not the next day. So I do think that this could be a look-at spot where it's a back-to-back. They kind of ease up on the defense, and Milwaukee has been scoring to some degree. So I like the over in this one, but if Cleveland's defense at all, snaps into form, I'm not exactly sure where the Bucks get their points from, to be honest. I think Jalen Tyson could be an interesting angle. I mean, since Harden's arrived, it's been a little difficult for him. The back-to-back he played with Harden against Charlotte, only 17 minutes. So I think it's an interesting angle because on the season, on back-to-backs, he's definitely done okay in the points category, the three-point category, and you can see he actually is playing more minutes. But again, the issue here is that, okay, say 24 minutes on this, let's say 27 minutes on the season. The minute he has Harden, so 27, let's keep that number in mind, Harden and Mobley, his minutes dropped by 5, right? And he's only played 3 games, really hasn't looked all that tremendous with them. He has shot 4 threes. I mean, in games this year in which he shoots 4 threes at least, he's hitting 76%. So maybe we look at his threes because then you don't necessarily need the volume. We're only looking for a few shots. But I think it could be a good spot, especially on the back-to-back in a sense. Another one, Jared Allen here. His rebounds still a little low for me. Now, you've been able to get this at 8.5 recently and stuff like that, but 9.5 for -125 still doesn't seem all that crazy. This is a guy that, should be getting nearly, I'm not going to lie, 20 rebound chances, even if we want to say 17, right? This is him on the season, 17 rebound chances. And since Harden's, arrived, and not that Harden's going to impact his rebounds all that much, but Jared Allen's been playing a lot better, getting more run, and he's getting a ton of rebounds and rebound chances. Again, it's not like Harden directly impacts his rebounds, but point being that Jared Allen seems a little bit more locked in. So being able to get him at 9.5 points still seems like a good spot. I mean, his points with Harden have been pretty damn good as well. Even if we look at his last 10 games, right? He's been crushing it, but with Harden, he's not exactly getting volume. I wouldn't say that. He's only shooting the ball like 10 times per game, and those are skewed by a couple outliers, but he's been scoring as well. I do really like the rebounds from him, especially given the fact that he's going up against the Bucks, who the last 10 games here, a +6% increase to opposing centers, getting some, actually that's points. Where's rebounds at? I want to see what that number is. Let's see. Plus 14% increase for them getting rebounds here. You can see some of these notables. Alex Sarr, 7.8 rebounds on the season. He got 17 rebounds against these guys. Jakob Poeltl, 7.3, got 8. Queen, 7.3, got 8. Wagner got 3.3, got 5. A lot of centers here, no matter if they're a high volume player or a low volume player in terms of minutes, getting rebounds against this squad. So, yeah, I kind of like those player props. They're not exactly the flashy star-studded ones, but probably what I'd consider. Psst. You guys made it this far in the video. Don't forget to like and comment 27. You made it past the 27-minute mark. Let's jump into the last game here. And yeah, I know that was a little corny. Nuggets taking on the Celtics. I want to start with a player prop here because he burned us yesterday, but I like him in this spot again today. Peyton Pritchard, points plus assists. Now, actually, we should know Jaylen Brown is questionable. He was out that Sunday, that Suns game. I have a feeling he plays in this one. You know what I mean? Like when you don't hear too much news about an injury prior to, and then you guys are on a front end of a back-to-back, and it's like, oh, he's not playing. Sometimes I sit there and I'm like, okay, well, it's got to be just because of the back-to-back, right? Anyways, Pritchard here is on a back-to-back. Didn't play well yesterday. His minutes are okay on back-to-backs. He does score a decent amount of points. He's been up and down to this number. I get it. But he's going up against a team that does struggle in the isolation. And Peyton Pritchard against bad teams in isolation dominates. Now, these are back-to-backs. Remember that. 45, 43, 34 in his last 3. And this is, we can exclude that if we want to make this look even better, where he's going to play 30 minutes, right? In games in which he plays 30 minutes, he's averaging, what do we got here? 40.7 points plus assists. His line right now is 23.5. So I'm giving Pritchard another shot in this one. In fact, even if we want to get rid of the back-to-back scenario, right? Let's just take a peek at this and say, hey, teams that struggle in isolation, right? He's still been doing really, really well. Now we want the minutes again. I do think he's going to play the minutes, even though it is a back-to-back. They need him right now, right? When he plays the 31-plus minutes on the season, 57% hit rate. On the road, 75%. So Pritchard, I'm casting a line out to you again, man. You killed us yesterday. He was one of our losses, but again, what wasn't one of our losses? We had our hand in a bunch of different cookie jars, and all we came out with was mothballs. But Peyton Pritchard over 23.5 points plus assists. It's probably a player prop that we end up rolling with today. In terms of a side here, I mean, if you give me Jaylen Brown, if you're telling me that Jaylen Brown's playing, I don't care if the Celtics are on a back-to-back. I think that they are arguably still better than this Nuggets team. Now, the Nuggets at home, I get it, but you're getting 3.5 points in the back pocket here. You got to remember that, right? 3.5 points. I think it's a big deal. Now, Denver beat the Celtics back in, what was it, early January? That was a game, in which it was a slow-ish paced, kind of grimy game. I get it. And it was in Boston. But that just kind of, and I'm a biased Celtics fan, so take this for what it's worth, but that could just kind of spark a little, under their asses, right? So I'm going to lean towards the Celtics in this spot. I might be biased. I get it. But to me, it's still and by the way, Jamal Murray is actually upgraded to probable, so he's probably playing. But this is still no Aaron Gordon, Pickett, Peyton Watson. If Jaylen Brown plays, I like the Celtics. If he doesn't, I don't like it as much, but I still do like Pritchard. In terms of how this game goes, pace-wise and everything like that, I'd be a little hard-pressed to make a true case for an over here. Just given the fact that this is a slow Celtics team, and no matter what they do, they're going to play slow, right? Whether they're on the road, whether they're at home, whether they're blah, blah, blah. The only thing you could maybe make an argument is that this Nuggets team has actually been playing pretty fast their last few games. I think that Blazers game probably is a little skewing, but the Celtics are on a back-to-back here, and that could up the tempo a little bit. That being said, this still strikes me as a game that gets to the 226-ish mark or something like that, right? If it were to go over in my brain, it still doesn't fly over, so I'm going to lean towards an under in this spot. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know exactly what to do. Smash that like button. Absolutely crush the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you are new. One last, let's expunge this. Let's expunge this out of reality here, right? Headphone warning. We're turning up the volume and we're going to drop a womp womp just to cleanse ourselves of yesterday's night. Get him out of here. All right, guys. We'll catch you in the next one, all right? Peace out.